Welcome, everyone, to the latest edition of the Bullpen with Adam the Bull, brought to you by Bet Rivers. And oh boy, like all of you, am I pissed off today. First of all, my face is burnt to a crisp. I was standing out in the sun for 7 hours, and my foot is killing me. And you know what else is killing me? This freaking football team. The Cleveland Browns are a disgrace. They have disgraced this city. They have disgraced this county. They have disgraced this state. The owner is a buffoon. I'm not supposed to call people names, but everybody's doing it these days, right? That's all we get these days is name calling, so I have to be part of it. The owner is a disaster. The GM is a disaster. The coach has done a bad job this year. The players stink. We overrated the talent across the board. The Browns lose 34-13 to the Commanders. A rookie quarterback in Jaden Daniels kicked their ass. Everybody on the Browns sucks right now, with almost no exceptions. But let me start with the biggest culprit of all. And I'm going to admit that I'm particularly angry because when the Browns traded for Deshaun Watson, I couldn't have been more excited. To me, it was an absolute no-brainer. I never even considered the possibility that Deshaun Watson would not play well for the Browns. It never once crossed my mind. Not for a second. Maybe I'm an idiot. Apparently I am, because he's been terrible. I couldn't have possibly pictured it. The guy had played so well in Houston. But you know what? I'm sick of saying that shit. He sucks. He's terrible. He was beyond bad today. The guy's played about 3 good games in 3 years. He can't be trusted at all. You know, we're seeing numbers. You know, early in the season, the numbers were low. A lot of quarterbacks were not putting up big numbers. But the last couple of weeks, that's starting to change. That has started to change. You saw Sam Darnold dominating. Baker Mayfield dominating. Caleb Williams today, 300 yards, 2 touchdowns. Joe Burrow, 392, 5 touchdowns. Lamar Jackson, over 300 yards, 4 touchdowns. Even Tyler Huntley threw for 194 freaking yards. Jaden Daniels, another great game. Trevor Lawrence threw for 371. Joe Flacco threw for 359 yards and completed 75% of his passes and threw 3 touchdowns. Even had 22 rushing yards. Across the league, the quarterbacks are elevating their play and elevating their teams. C.J. Stroud, 331 yards, drove his team down for a game-winning field goal after they blew the lead. Kirk Cousins threw for 500 fucking yards in outdueling Baker Mayfield. And what do we have here in Cleveland? We have a guy who is a low character, low talent. I don't want to hear about his talent anymore. He's not the athlete he was. I'm not going to blame anybody else besides besides Andrew Berry. I couldn't be more wrong. Deshaun Watson is an absolute bum. I'll get to everybody else. But Deshaun Watson's a bum. His quarterback coach, he's a bum too. That guy's a clown. We saw him put out all those tweets last week. Let's see him this week. Quincy Carrier. Is it Quincy Carrier? I don't want to get him confused with Quincy, who does a good job with the Browns podcast. I can't remember the last name. Not Quincy Carrier. Quincy Carrier is a good guy. It's Quincy, what the hell's his last name? Quarterback coach. I'm sure everybody's screaming it. I'm sure Quincy Avery. That's it. Quincy Avery. Quincy Avery. Again, not Quincy Carrier. Good dude. Good podcast. Quincy Avery is a freaking clown. Deshaun Watson surrounds himself with losers who give him bad advice. He does everything wrong off the field. He made a fool of himself off the field this offseason. He and his quarterback coach with their fucking podcast went on and on and on and on and on. Oh, he's got a stronger arm than ever. We got a Super Bowl. He said it. Deshaun Watson said they got a freaking Super Bowl team. They are 1-4. Zach Jackson had a great stat. Let me bring this up here. Zach Jackson tweeted this out just a little bit ago. At 3.8 yards per play through 5 games, the Browns have the worst offense that the NFL has seen through 5 weeks since 2018. 2018, the worst offense through 5 games in 6 years. Watson's not alone. The offensive line is trash. Jed Wills is garbage. DeJuan Jones can't play. Like me, he's a fat ass, and he can't play. He cannot play. Joel Bitonio looks completely shot. Ethan Posick stinks. They are crapola across the board. The running backs couldn't do anything. They tried to run early. The wide receivers make no plays. And even, by the way, you look at the final numbers for Deshaun Watson, and they're hideous. 15 of 28, 125 and a touchdown. Hideous. And yet, obviously, he played way worse than that. The only touchdown he threw was in garbage time. In fact, the Browns had, I believe, 13 possessions in this game. Let's see. I think it was 13. Let me double check this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 13 possessions in this game. And only one time in 13 possessions did the Browns go more than 29 yards. So in 12 of their 13 offensive possessions, they had under 30 yards of offense. And keep in mind, and the only time they got more than that was the touchdown drive, which was the second to last drive, and the game was obviously well over at that point. And let me explain something else. I know Washington's look great. By the way, I did pick Washington to make the playoffs. That's looking like a good prediction. Washington is a good offensive team, and they've played great on offense. Jaden Daniels has looked phenomenal. Phenomenal. We saw C.J. Stroud take the lead by storm last year. Jaden Daniels is doing the same thing this year. They look like they have their answer quarterback like Houston does. But Washington's defense has done nothing. Their defense has been crapola. And the Browns moved the ball more than 29 yards one freaking time. Once, and that was in garbage time when they were down 34-6. I got MJ Emerson out on the field with the Browns down 4 fucking touchdowns, and he's dancing on a gosh darn pass breakup. Could you be any more clueless? Now, I have said for years that I think Kevin Stefanski is a good coach, not a great coach. I don't want to hear about his effing Coach of the Year awards. I'm not firing Kevin Stefanski. I know a lot of you want him fired. I understand the emotion. I understand the anger. I understand why you want it. I'm trying to stay calm. It's not been easy. I'm cursing. I'm spitting. I'm out of control. But Kevin Stefanski, I don't think is the problem. I don't think he's doing a good job this year. I'm not going to tell you he's doing a good job this year. He has done a bad job just like everybody else. But I would not fire him. I think he is a fine NFL coach. I understand you want the best. You want Andy Reid. He's not Andy Reid. But there's only one Andy Reid. There's only one Sean McVay. There's not many guys at that level. The Browns don't have it. They're unlikely to get it if they fire Kevin Stefanski. But Andrew Berry, who I wasn't as high on as I've been on Kevin Stefanski, in my opinion, should be fired. The Deshaun Watson trade, let's face it, it's over. It's over. And my biggest beef with Stefanski right now, before I get back to Berry, is that Deshaun Watson has to be benched. There's no way the team believes in him. I don't give a rat's ass what anybody says. Deshaun Watson is gone. He's done. He's finished. They need to bench him, and they need to cut him at the end of the year. I don't care if they cut him now. I'm sick of looking at him. I'm sick of having to root for this team with this guy who's a terrible person off the field. I know 28 people are lying. I'm sure they're all lying. That's probably likely. He's a bum off the field. He's a bum on the field. He brings nothing to the table. And this organization, which for a number of years I felt like they were in the right direction, and now it feels kind of hopeless. You see all these good young quarterbacks. The Browns feel as far away from a championship as they've been in a number of years. And Kevin Stefanski's, again, I'm being hard on Stefanski. Let me make it clear. Again, I don't want him fired. I don't think he should be fired. Probably Jimmy Haslam. You see, the biggest problem in this organization is that Jimmy Haslam is the ultimate bum. Just like Deshaun Watson's a shitheel off the field, so is Jimmy Haslam. The guy's a criminal. Our owner is a criminal. Why is he allowed to own the team? He is a bum. His son-in-law's a bum. The whole family, they suck, and they have done nothing. Nothing. This team is once again the laughingstock of the National Football League. The GM, look at this draft. He drafts Michael Hall, another bum off the field in the second round. He doesn't know. He wouldn't know talent at wide receiver if it bit him on the ass. And Kevin Stefanski, again, we're not changing quarterbacks. Why not? Why the hell not? This season is over. I shouldn't, you know what? We shouldn't even call them the Browns anymore. I think from now on, we should refer to them as the Cleveland Shitstains. That's it. They do not deserve the moniker. When you think of Browns, you think of Paul Brown, one of the greatest coaches, if not the greatest coach of all time. You think of Jim Brown, the greatest running back of all time. This team deserves none of that. They should trade Myles Garrett. They should trade Joel Bitonio if they get anything for him. I don't know. He's looking washed and old. If they can get anything for these guys, they've got to move on. They've got to rebuild. You have to rebuild. That's what we're doing. You got to draft a quarterback this year. But they won't because what they should do is cut Deshaun Watson. Excuse me. They should cut Deshaun Watson and move on. It's a sunk cost. But Jimmy Haslam is going to force this round peg into a square hole. He'll probably end up firing Kevin Stefanski. He'll blame him. He'll bring in somebody else. Maybe it'll be Mike Vrabel. I don't know. Mike Vrabel's a defensive guy, so you'd have to get a decent OC. Good luck with that. And good luck. Want a good head coach wanting to come here if you fire a guy who's obviously a good coach after one season. It's all about Deshaun Watson and the talent around him. Deshaun Watson has destroyed this franchise. I can't believe how bad he is. It's really mind-blowing. But let me get back to it. The Cleveland Shitstains. I think we should all buy T-shirts saying Cleveland Shitstains because that's what they are. That's what they play like. They deserve no respect across the board. And now the Eagles are a mess, but they're going to go out and get their ass kicked by the Eagles. The Bengals stink, but the Bengals defense stinks, and their coach stinks, and Zach Taylor should be fired. Now, that's a coach should be fired. Zach Taylor's a fucking idiot. Joe Burrow's got 400 yards, 5 touchdowns, and he's going conservative in overtime. They try a long field goal, bad snap, and then they lose. But the Browns are not going to win that game, even though Stefanski's done well against the Bengals. They're going to lose. They're going to be like 1-10. Browns are going to win 5 games this year, and they're going to get a top 10 pick. Does anybody trust Andrew Berry to get it right? Anybody? I don't. And I thought it was the right move to give Andrew Berry an extension because he'd done an okay job and he was kind of a team with Kevin Stefanski. And listen, another mea culpa on that one. I was wrong. I was wrong. Andrew Berry. See, what happened with Andrew Berry, and maybe this is happening with Stefanski. I don't think it's the case with Stefanski. Time will tell. Is what I accuse fans of doing sometimes, is that because it's been shit for so long that when you see mediocrity, you think it's good. But it's not. And Andrew Berry has not even been mediocre. He's just been better than everybody else they had. He's done some good things that have stood out. But the Deshaun Watson trade is going to go down in history as the second worst. It's not the worst trade of all time because you got the Herschel Walker trade that directly led to Dallas winning multiple Super Bowls. This is the second worst trade in the history of football. It's one of the worst trades in the history of sports. I saw somebody today, it might have even been my man Eddie Everhart, which has stunned me, saying the Russell Wilson trade was worse. No, it wasn't. Not even close, Eddie. I love you, buddy. Not even close. This is way worse than the Russell Wilson trade. 1,000,000 times worse. Thank you to all of you who are watching me live right now. I know you're all pissed. I know you're all frustrated by the Cleveland shitstains and how they've played so far this year. I know probably some of you are pissed because I don't want to fire Stefanski. I get it. I understand why you're mad right now. There's a tiny part of me that says, yes, fire everybody. I'm trying to maintain some composure. I think down deep he is the right guy. But I'll tell you, it's getting hard. Remember that scene in Pulp Fiction where Samuel L. Jackson's like, I'm trying real hard to be the shepherd. I'm trying real hard to be the shepherd, Kevin. I want to shepherd you further down the line as Browns coach. I don't want to fire you. I don't want a knee-jerk reaction to that. But I think at the end of this year, I think it's time to move on from Andrew Berry because the Browns have to get a new quarterback. They have to draft a quarterback. They're going to have a top 10 pick, and I don't trust Andrew Berry to get it right. Now, the best thing for this franchise would be if Jimmy Haslam sold the team. But then again, we thought when Jimmy Haslam bought the team, we were all excited because the last owner sucked. And now this owner, again, I guess I'll still give him credit for spending money. But look at the amount of money they spent, and what do they have to show for it? Nothing. Who played well today? I thought JOK was one of the best guys, and he made some terrible mistakes. Did have a nice interception, had a sack, forced a fumble. He did some nice things. Myles Garrett's obviously not right. I'd just put him on IR right now. I'd put him on IR, get him healthy, and then trade him before the deadline. Try to get 2 first-round picks for him if you can. Then you have 3 for next year. You hire a new GM. Hopefully you finally get it right. But Jimmy Haslam is, will hire some firm, spend $8 million to hire a GM, and they'll screw it up. By the way, don't give that guy $1 freaking dollar for his effing stadium. Not $1 dollar. Not one. His franchise is a disgrace. They're the anti-Guard. Look at the Guardians, the beautiful Guardians. You're going to beat Tarek Skubal tomorrow. They play with character, with toughness, with heart. When they get shit heels on the team, they get rid of them. Like Trevor Bauer. Get rid of Karinchak, too. He's a bum also. He's not here. High character players. High character manager. High character front office. Hire good people. Let them do their job. The Browns hire mostly bad people, some good people, meddle. Don't let them do their job. The ones they let do their job suck at it. Deshaun Watson is the worst quarterback in the league. Yes, I would obviously rather have Baker Mayfield. So all you Baker bros, kudos to you. Your guy's playing well. I was busting balls on Twitter that he didn't do enough in the second half. I can't believe. I know I bust balls about Baker all the time, but I can't believe anybody took me seriously in that. And then people were like defending me there, saying, yeah, Baker only threw 50 yards in the second half. They didn't lose that game because of Baker. That was absurd. Baker played great. And he's played great this year, and he played very well last year. I still don't think he's ever going to go anywhere in the playoffs, but he's a whole lot better than Deshaun Watson. He has turned himself. It's amazing. Baker was kind of a punk in Cleveland. He played pretty well. He was up and down. Some shit play, some good play. Overall, it was mediocre, too many turnovers, which is why I thought they had to move on. It was up and down. But he played way better in Cleveland than Deshaun Watson has, obviously. But Baker was kind of a punk. Now, he wasn't a hideous human being like Deshaun Watson is off the field, but he was kind of punkish. He leaves, has a terrible first year, bouncing around Carolina, a couple decent games with the Rams at the end, but basically a lost first year, was terrible. And what did he do? To his credit, he humbled himself. He got his shit together. And since then, he's played very good football. I can't kill the guy at all. And what has Deshaun Watson done? He's doubled down on bad behavior. We're expecting a new allegation every 10 seconds. Those who defend him are going to pretend that he's telling the truth while 25, 6, 7, 8, 30, 40, 50, 60, 512 people are lying. You tell me what's more likely. I know we live in a world today where everybody makes up their own facts. Facts don't matter. We don't pay any attention to reality. Everybody says whatever shit they want and puts it out there. But I still got to believe that I'm gonna think that 28 people didn't get together and lie while one person's telling that, it's more likely that the one is lying than 28. I know. Whatever bullshit excuse you want to come up with. We all said the same things. Roethlisberger, that guy's a piece of crap too. Nobody defended him here. But you know what? It's not even the point. We would have put up with all of it. We sullied our soul. We all sullied ourselves. We all sold our souls because we thought this guy was the savior. I thought this guy was the savior. And he's garbage. He's garbage. The offensive line stinks. This offense has no hope. I love Nick Chubb. He is my favorite Browns player in the 13 years I've been covering this team. Nick Chubb is my favorite Browns player. It's not even close. Love him. He can't save this team. And people saying he shouldn't play, that's silly. He's a free agent at the end of the year. You don't not play a guy when he's a free agent at the end of the year. So Nick Chubb's going to play, and he'll probably play well, and he'll probably play hard with the rest of these bums. And, he'll do fine because he's great. And the rest of the team's going to stink around him, and he'll make them better offensively because he's such a special guy. But the team is filled with too many bums now, led by the quarterback. Deshaun Watson has now played 17 games for the Cleveland Browns. He has averaged 175 yards a game. Oh, my God. I mean, what can you say? He's under 60% completion percentage. And coming into today's game, he's under 60% completion percentage this year in a year where everybody's completing a high percentage of passes. Like, those are the numbers that are up. Right? Let me bring this up here. Let's see. Completion percentage. I don't know if this includes today. It probably doesn't. Coming into today, Deshaun Watson was 27th out of 33 quarterbacks in completion percentage, ahead of Jacoby Brissett, Bo Nix, Jordan Love, that's a surprise, Bryce Young, Trevor Lawrence, Mason Rudolph, and Anthony Richardson. And he was terrible today. He's behind Skylar Thompson, Tyler Huntley, Daniel Jones, Andy Dalton, and all the good quarterbacks. Baker Mayfield, by the way, is fourth in completion percentage heading into today. Deshaun Watson is not a quarterback. He is not an NFL. Look at those numbers. And that's not even representative. When the game was still in doubt, I say in doubt, I laugh because there was never really in doubt. Under 100 yards. 7 sacks. Part of it because the offensive line stinks. Part of it because he holds the ball. And when he had time, he missed receivers all day long. He fumbles the ball too much. I mean, my gosh, how many fumbles has he had? Let me see here. He's fumbled the ball. He's fumbled the ball 11 times in 17 games for the Browns. Now, I don't know how. It doesn't say where I'm looking how many losses, how many of those they've lost. But he is thrown in 17 games. He's thrown 12 picks and fumbled 10 times. Now, it's not 22 turnovers because they didn't lose every fumble. But 12 picks and 10 fumbles in 17 games. I mean, yards per attempt, 4.9 coming into today, and it's going to be even lower now. That's got to be the worst in the league. He's got to be absolute bottom of the league in yards per attempt. Let me see. Yards per attempt. Coming into today, he was 31st out of 34 quarterbacks. Oh, sorry. He was 34th out of 37 quarterbacks. 34th. Only Bo Nix, Bryce Young, and Tyler Huntley. And he may fall behind Bo Nix because he was barely ahead of him. Stinks. QBR, dead last in the league. Quarterback rating, he's ahead of 7 guys coming in today. That's going to drop. Yards per game. He's ahead of Nix, Richardson, Levis, Brissett, Bryce Young, Huntley, and Mason Rudolph. Mason Rudolph's not even fair. He didn't play a full game. Where can I go? I mean, he is just terrible. And yes, I'm spending a lot of time on him. It's probably not completely fair because he's not the only one that sucks, but he's the one guy. They mortgaged everything for him. 3 first-round picks, multiple other picks. And even the folks, you have to be honest. Even the most diehard Baker bro that didn't want to make this trade, you had to think, at the very least, that he would be as good as Baker. You had to. I don't believe anybody that doesn't say that. That worst case scenario, he'd be pretty good, like Baker, and that's it. I can't imagine there's a single person out there, and I really don't believe you if you say you did, but maybe there is somebody that thought he could be this bad. That we would have a conversation coming into 2 weeks ago, last week. Would you rather have Gardner Minshew or Deshaun Watson? Would you rather have Daniel Jones or Deshaun Watson? I wouldn't take Deshaun Watson over any quarterback in the league right now. If you factor in his contract, I would take anybody. I would rather the Browns sign Tim Tebow off the street, who's the worst quarterback I've ever seen in my life, and I'd rather them play him. Because at least he's not a bum like this guy. If I've been too harsh, it's okay. I apologize. I'm emotional. I know you are too. There's probably some people that are angry with my language. It's been a little over the top. I didn't purposely do it. I'm trying to calm myself down a little bit. Guys, take Deshaun Watson's numbers off the board, please. I can't look at that anymore. Thank you. Let me get a drink. At least my day started nicely. I coached 2 all-star teams before we play our championships next week. My 9 and 10-year-old all-star team, we won 8-7 on a walk-off 2-run double. And then in my 11, 12-year-old in the all-star game, our team came back from a 17-10 deficit. We won 19-18. One of the pitchers from my team Shout out to my guy, Luco Bricky. I brought him in, 7-inning game. I brought him in with the bases loaded, 2 outs in the 6th, with us down a run. He got us out of the inning with a strikeout. We went to the 7th. We scored 2 to take the lead. In the bottom of the 7th, he walked the leadoff batter. The kid stole 2nd and 3rd with nobody out, and then he struck out 3 in a row. And our catcher made a nice stop in the dirt, so they didn't score the tying run on a wild pitch. That was a great start to this day. We played over at League Park. By the way, if you have not been to League Park, I don't know what you're doing. This was an unbelievable experience for me and for all the kids. League Park, I was down there at 8:30 this morning until about 2:45. I come home, and I was like, okay, I'm going to watch the second half of the Browns game. Then I'll go back, watch the first half, and, do the show at 6 o'clock. And when I saw the score, when I got home, I was like, oh, my God, do I have to watch the first half? But, of course, I did. I didn't want to, but it was so disgusting. But if you haven't been to League Park, a little sidebar here, place was awesome. It's a cool field, great experience for the kids. It was a lot of fun. I'm going to take – I know I've had an insane amount of chat messages, so I don't know that I'll be able to bring them all up. We've set a record here for the most live views ever on this podcast, and so I really appreciate you, everybody joining in. If some people feel I've gone too far with the language again, I apologize. But, we all get caught up. We all get emotional. I know some people think I don't care about the Browns. If nothing else, I was talking to who the hell was I talking to? Somebody else that moved to Ohio. Oh. So I have a friend whose sister moved to Cincinnati. And she grew up a Jets fan, diehard Jets fan, but she's lived in Cincinnati for a while, and so she roots for the Jets, but she also roots for the Bengals. And I said, yes, I know most people don't understand that, and with me, it makes no sense to root for the Bengals and Browns. It's counterintuitive. It makes no sense, and I understand that people don't believe me. But if nothing else, believe this. The Browns winning is good for my business, for our business. If you think I'm being a total phony about my emotions about the Browns, if nothing else, believe that winning is good for business. The Browns go to the playoffs. More people are interested. That's good. We want that to happen. So if you believe nothing else, believe that. And I just, part of this is I'm so pissed at myself because I want to be right just like anybody else. And I did not pick the Browns to make the playoffs this year. Unlike most of my colleagues, I thought they'd fall short. But I didn't see this happening. I thought Deshaun Watson would be better. I did not see the O-line playing this awful. I thought the wide receiving core would be better. Certainly, I thought the defense would be good. And here's the thing. The reason I had the Browns short of the playoffs is because I didn't trust Watson enough, and I thought the defense might take a step back. I didn't think the defense would take 3 steps back and that Watson was going to be absolute trash. And maybe I should have known it, especially with Watson. Maybe I was conning myself into believing that this year would be his year. And I honestly don't care what he does the rest of the season. I'm done. I'm completely done with this guy. If he plays a good game next week, if he plays a good game whenever, Philadelphia's defense stinks. Cincinnati's defense stinks. Maybe he'll play well against those teams. I don't know. But Washington's defense stinks. The Raiders' defense stinks. Dallas has given up 1 million points. And he hasn't done anything against any of those teams. Jacksonville, they stink. They won that game, but he didn't do much. So I am done 100%. The Watson trade is a failure. Obviously most of us have been thinking that for a while, but to me this was the final straw. I'm done with him. I'm done with him off the field. I'm done with him on the field. He stinks. The Browns should move on, but they're not because they're a stupidly run organization. And Jimmy Haslam, can I be polite? All right, I'll try not to be mean. Jimmy Haslam is a bit of a doofus. His son-in-law, The nepotism, just unbelievable. The son-in-law. I met the son-in-law once. He was talking to me about doing some show. I don't know if he was serious or not. I don't know. It was about like fat guys in the woods or something, and I'm like, what are you talking about? Unlike you, I'm not going to sell my soul for money. But maybe we did. Maybe we all sold our soul in the whole Deshaun Watson situation. I guess we did sell it for money in the end. The Haslams don't know what they're doing. Andrew Berry's not a good GM. I don't know what Paul DePodesta does, but he's been a common denominator here. They should can his ass. I'd keep Stefanski. I'd move on from Deshaun Watson. And Kevin Stefanski, you guys got the quote, Max? You got the quote, Kevin Stefanski, what he said after the game? When he said about, we're not changing quarterbacks. Blame me. And all right, I respect Kevin Stefanski for taking it on his shoulders. But you're wrong here, Kevin. You were wrong to continue to play Baker a couple of years ago, and you're wrong now. And I know there's always conspiracy theories and rumors about, is Jimmy making him do this? Is Berry for it? I don't care. I don't know that Berry wanted Deshaun Watson. I don't know if that was a Jimmy Haslam thing. But he's the GM. Until I know otherwise, he's getting the blame. Kevin Stefanski should have benched Baker when he was playing like crap when he was hurt, and he was awful. And I don't give Baker a pass. I didn't give it to him then. I don't give it to him now. Other guys play hurt, play well. But they should have benched him. They didn't. Deshaun Watson absolutely should be benched. And I'll tell you something else. I'd freaking play DTR. Maybe I'd play Jameis one game to give DTR another. But what's the point of playing Jameis, honestly? He's old. He's not the answer. And DTR's probably not the answer either. But why not see the young guy play? This season's over. It's over. This team's not going to the playoffs. There's no chance. I saw Jason tweet, Brown season ended before the Guardian season. And he's right. Guardians up 1-0 in the first round of the ALDS. Browns are done. 1-4. Done. What are they going to go 10-2 the rest of the way? 10-2? This bunch of soft asses? Let's see DTR. I'm not interested in Jameis. Like I said, you want to play Jameis for one game? All right. But eventually, I want to see DTR. But they're going to force feed Watson. Watson and Stefanski don't work together. Let me see if I'm getting some inside scoop here. Let's see. Oh, man. Let's see. Hold on. Can I mention this stuff on my podcast, period, from you? I want to see. I got to see if this if I can say this stuff because I'm getting some damning stuff here. But it might be off the record in the chat I'm having with a couple of guys. Let's just say there are some unhappy people in Berea. I don't know if I can reveal the rest of what I'm hearing, and I apologize. I probably shouldn't even have teased that because now if the person tells me I can't share that. Nope, I'm sorry. I can't share it. It'll get out eventually. Listen, there's people that are pissed. Let's just say that. There are pissed off, everybody. And that's why it is time. Hold on. I'll say this. I remember my good friend Dustin Fox telling me years ago when he played for the Buffalo Bills that there was a third string quarter. He played on a bad Bills team. I can't remember the guy's name. Bills QB. Okay, I found it. I remember Dustin telling me years ago, he was on the Bills, and they had this guy. His name was Gibran Hamden. If you've never heard of him, it makes sense because he threw two NFL passes in 2003 for Washington. He was one of two for 7 yards. The guy was originally a 7th-round pick of Washington in 2003, but he was in camp or was the third-string quarterback or whatever with Buffalo when Dustin was there. And I remember Dustin saying that everybody on the team thought Gibran Hamden should get a chance because the players knew what the fans didn't, what the GM maybe didn't, what the owner maybe didn't, what the coaches weren't willing to admit, is that they thought he gave them the best chance to win. See, we don't know, but the players know. The players know who gives them the best chance to win. And I'm telling you, and I feel confident in saying this, that there are definitely players on the Cleveland Browns that do not think Deshaun Watson gives them the best chance to win. And if you are only playing Deshaun Watson because of that terrible contract you signed with him, then you are letting down the other 52 guys in this team. And that's a disgrace. And that's on Kevin. Kevin Stefanski needs to think about, I think he made a huge mistake saying he wasn't going to change quarterbacks. He should have not answered the question. Now, he can always change his mind. But Kevin, I know you're listening. You need to go home. You need to, chill out for a little bit, be around the family, be around the kids. And then you need to go back to work tomorrow. You need to think about it even more. And then when you talk to the media tomorrow, the very latest Wednesday, you have to bench Deshaun Watson. This is a failure. It's over. And that's all that needs to be said. By the way, I've spent so much time on Watson, I've neglected the fact that I've barely talked about the defense. Defense was awful. I know they're on the field a lot, but the tackling stinks. Myles Garrett is hurt. He is struggling. He was struggling today. And I like I said before, I think he's going to have to go on IR. The secondary, when Denzel Ward went out, was awful. They picked on Mike Ford. Martin Emerson, I said it 2 weeks in a row, he's a fraud. I'll say it again. I was losing my mind when I saw him celebrating down 3 touchdowns, 4 touchdowns, whatever the hell it was on a pass breakup. That's when you know your team has a loser mentality. When you're celebrating a pass breakup down 3 touchdowns in the second half, your team has a loser mentality. You're more interested in your stupid celebrations and you shooting your arrows than you are in winning football games. Let me tell you something. Today, it was the All-Star game. It was the All-Star game, and I talked about coaching an All-Star game. So I didn't even know all the kids, right? Like, we have 6 teams in this league. 3 teams were represented on both sides. So I'm coaching. We had 15 kids on our All-Star team. With the older kids, there were 6 kids from my team that made it. The other 9 kids, I knew 1 or 2 of them, but half the other kids I didn't know. And at one point in the game, this is 11, 12-year-olds. A couple of kids were fartsing around, and I pulled them out. I called 3 kids from the outfield, and I put them on the bench. Because you're disrespecting your teammates who want to win. They were being silly. They were goofing around. I know they're kids. But it was I thought they needed a lesson here. I pulled the kids out, and you know what? Those kids had a great attitude the rest of the game. They learned from that experience. That doesn't go on here. I understand it's much easier. I'm not dealing with high-priced salaries. I only have to deal with parents that may want to get upset with me, and I haven't had that problem. Kudos to the parents. I understand it's a completely different situation. But there's got to be accountability, even at the professional ranks, even for guys that make a ton of money. And if you keep allowing Deshaun Watson to go out there, it's a disgrace. Since he's come here, he's been worse than Jacoby Brissett, who stinks. He's been worse than Joe Flacco, Flacco played well again for Indianapolis. Can't believe it, but he keeps playing well. He's been worse than everybody. Well, maybe not Phillip. Sorry, Tyvus. Folks, I apologize. I'm not going to be able to read any chats today. There's just too many. I felt too far behind. All right, I'll read a few real quick. Moto Bike Life, Ohio, clean house. Mark Fisher, Watson Parasite. Michael, announce a new stadium already, so we have announce a new stadium, fine. Not one freaking dollar from the town. Not one freaking dollar from taxpayers. Let that billionaire ass pay for himself. Let's see. Heath, stop the bullshit. I don't know. Are you talking to my bullshitting or is he? Cleveland 2022. DTR is as bad as Watson. How do we know? DTR's played like 3 games. At least he's young. Let's see what he's got. There's just too much here. I'm sorry, folks. I just didn't have time to read. I'm so frustrated. I know you're all frustrated. But we're going to – I just can't – it's just too many and they're coming too quick. I really, really appreciate everybody who's in the chat. I know Edward Zupon's here all the time. I know my man Daryl. Love you, Daryl. Brian, Brutus, Paramajot. Thanks, buddy. Home Defender, Matthew, Jimmy, John, Brian, Akimbo RPGs. Let me read a few. Creative Juice. Victor says he remembers Gibran Hamden. The women in Buffalo loved him. Good-looking dude, yeah. The women in Buffalo loved him. Guardians up 1-0. That's it. The Guardians. That's our hope, baby. Thanks, everybody, that joined me today. I love you all. I really appreciate your love and support. Please, if you haven't done so already, hit the subscribe button. We had a record number of live viewers today, and I really appreciate that. I will not be on UCSS tomorrow. I'm kind of moving, sort of, temporarily, within the same town. So I got a crazy day tomorrow. But Guardians play at 4. Right after the game, I'll be live again in the bullpen with a postgame show. Zach and I will have the Ultimate Cleveland Guardians show at 10, and then I'll be back on UCSS Tuesday. Also another live pod Tuesday. No, not live pod Tuesday, but another pod on Tuesday. On UCSS Tuesday with Dustin, G. Bush, and Tyvus. And only G. Bush of that group will be on UCSS tomorrow. So you'll get G's reaction along with Jay and Jason. And then you'll get more from G plus me, Tyvus for the first time, me for the first time on UCSS along with Dustin. Don't take this out on your family. There are other good things in life, right? Like the Guardians. It's so hard not to allow the Browns to affect your state of mind, but try your best. Again, love you all. Thank you so much for joining me. Thanks to Shane and Max for producing today. If you haven't done so already, please hit the subscribe button. Cost you nothing. If you haven't done so already, download the BetRivers app. Yesterday, I hit the same game parlay. By the way, the one leg in that same, it was a 4-leg parlay. If you saw it, it's on Twitter. And I thought I had lost it, but they changed the official scoring as I was screaming about yesterday on Jose Ramirez. They had scored it in error. They changed it to a double. And the one leg of my parlay that I hadn't hit was Jose Ramirez over 1.5 total bases. That double gave him 2. I hit that. I had the Guardians scoring first, the Guardians winning. Bybee over on the strikeouts, Ramirez over on the total bases. It was a winner. I had a same game parlay today, but I can't remember now what it was. I'm not sure if I hit it. I'll check it out and let you know tomorrow. See you, everybody. Thanks for joining me right here in the bullpen with Adam the Bull, brought to you by Bet Rivers.